How many of you got to where you are today because somebody chose to see the good in you when it was easy to see the bad? And they said to you 4 magic words. Outside of I love you, the most powerful thing you can say to another person is I believe in you. Okay? So you know where that's at. All right, good morning. Let's go, folks. Let's go. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. Thank you for getting up. Good morning. Life. How many of you have ever had a good coach in your life? Raise your hand, please. Look around the room. How many of you have ever had a bad coach at some point in your life? That's right. Did the bad ones make you appreciate the good ones? See, I want you to think about this. A good coach will do 3 things for you. They will have conversations with you that you may or may not want to have. They will push you to do some things that you may or may not want to do, but a good coach will help you become something you did not think you could become. See, I grew up in a small town in Tennessee, less than 2,500 people inside the city limits. I was raised by a single mom who had me when she was 16 years old. And that was not a cool thing to do in the 70s, be a kid and have a kid. And my mom used to take me down to the local baseball field where I would stay for hours and hours and hours. And I was really raised on a baseball field. And it was one woman named Mickey Vincent, who was a female coach coaching Little League Baseball, who fed me, who cared for me, who tended to me. And it was on that baseball field at 6 years old that I made a decision. I had a big revelation. I saw how a good coach could change a person's life. I watched how people came with some knowledge and some skill and some desire and some confidence, and a good coach could take that raw material and convert that material to greatness. And at 6 years old, I made up my mind, man, I'm going to be a coach at some point. And my coach kept telling me, one of these days, you're going to be a great coach. How many of you got to where you are today because somebody chose to see the good in you when it was easy to see the bad? And they said to you 4 magic words. Outside of I love you, the most powerful thing you can say to another person is I believe in you. I see something in you. You have potential, which is an idea of kinetic energy that is stored until activated. It is an idea of embryonic growth, that you'll be better today than you were yesterday. You will be better tomorrow than you were today, that you will never stop getting better. Yes. See, I have a woman right now, 81 years old in my coaching program. 81 years old. I've coached 81, 78, 76. Here's what she said to me, Coach, I still got one more good swing in me. Yeah. Isn't that inspirational? She's not checked out. She said, man, coach me, develop me. So on that baseball field, I started to have all of these revelations. I went on to be a coach and became the youngest head coach in the state of Tennessee at the ripe old age of 22 years old. Look at that head of hair that I had, folks. I had a full head of hair. So at 22 years, I'm coaching the second largest high school in Tennessee. They had never won a championship in 30 years. It took me about a decade. I worked 80 hours a week for a decade. I didn't have a life. I didn't have any friends. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. All I did was coach that team. And it took me about 10 years to build a national championship team that would go on to win 7 of the next 9 state championships in the state of Tennessee. And here's what I learned. Long obedience in the same direction. I want you to write that down, because when you see people that are great and they are the best at what they do, they have had a long obedience in the same direction. See, I wouldn't trade anything for that night of being the best. No matter how many heartaches I had, no matter how many long nights, no matter how many times I went home heartbroken, no matter how many times I said, what am I doing raising other people's kids? Nobody appreciates it. No matter how bad it got, no matter how many times I wanted to quit, I would not trade anything for being the best. That's right. Yeah. And I want you to commit today to raising your standards, to building identity, to changing your language, to saying you could be the best in the world. So around this time, moms and dads will bring their kids to me. And a lot of things I remembered is the percentages never lied to me. See, this is a game of probability. How many of you think much of life is a game of probability? It really is a game of probability. And so here's what the percentages taught me. If I had less than 14 turnovers, if I gave up less than 8 second shots, if I stopped the other team 21 times, and consecutive stops of 3, I won roughly 74.7% of the time. And everything I did was based on the percentage. Even today in my business, When I'm working with my sales team, everything is based on a percentage. We have X number of touches per day. It's all based on the law of diffusion, which tells me exactly how many at-bats we need, exactly how many people are going to be interested. I could tell you in this room how many people would be interested in this little bald-headed pit bull being your coach. Based on percentages, right? Roughly 2.5% of you are going to see me go, I like this dude. He can help me get to another level. 13.5% of you are going to need to see me 1 to 3 times. Social media, Instagram, YouTube. 34% of you are going to need to see me typically 3 to 7 times. 34% are going to need to see me 7 to 15 times. And then 16% of you ain't never going to do anything with me. See, now that I know that, there is no such thing as rejection. I'm only looking for people who are looking for me. Does everybody hear that? There is no such thing as rejection. I'm only looking for people who are looking for me. You go where you feel celebrated, not tolerated. And with 7 billion people on planet Earth, there's plenty of people that are looking for you and your skill set and what you have. So this is a game of percentages. And when you play the percentages, you can win, especially when you're good. So along this time, moms and dads, how many of you have kids, by the way? Look at that. I have 3 kids, a 1-year-old, and I'm 47 years old, and a 1-year-old will keep you young, folks. At 47, I told my wife the other day, I'm going to be 80 when she's 20. Right? But she's running around, and I'm like, this is awesome, man. This is awesome. But moms and dads will bring me their kids at 14 years old, and they all said the same thing. Coach, my daughter has a lot of what? Potential. Sometimes they said attitude. Sometimes they said issues. Sometimes they said drama. My daughter has a lot of potential. She just needs something. What do you think they said she needed? Direction, focus, accountability, structure, discipline, which is a derivative of the word disciple, which means to give yourself to a person or cause you believe in. How many of you believe in your future? Yes, sir. You wouldn't be here if you didn't believe in your future. And I ask people, where does your future live? Sometimes people tell me right here, and I say, no, it lives right here. See, God gave us the gift of imagination. They tell us animals do not have this. You have the gift of imagination. You have independent and free will, which means you can see something in the mind's eye, in the imagination, and you have the ability to pursue it, to go from mental creation to physical action. See, when I started, that was not a good job in Tennessee. I sat across from the boss at 22 years old. He said, man, why should I hire you to be the head coach? And I said, I'm the only person who's going to bring you a championship at this school, and I ain't leaving until I do. I don't know what told me to say that in that moment, but that's what I call a pray-drive moment. I went there in my mind before I went there in my body. 10 years later, he walked out there in front of 10,000 people and said, thank you, I owe you, man. You did exactly what you promised. And how many of you can win today if you do exactly what you promised people? You show up on time. You do what you said you were going to do. You say please and thank you. Folks, you can win in today's world if you just show up and do what you said you were going to do. So when you think about this, when moms and dads will bring their kids to me, this is where the real estate comes in. I want you to remember this. I said, thank you for bringing your daughter to the greatness factory. I want you to remember that because many years later, you're going to see at the end of my talk how I just built a $7 million building in downtown Nashville called the Greatness Factory, where adults can go because God gave me that vision in 2016. He said, you used to do it for kids, now I want you to do it for adults. I want one place where people can go to manufacture their greatness. So I'm coaching these teams, and this is a very important part of the equation. From 18 to 25, I was a disciple of Covey. I was a deep student of Stephen Covey. I'm 18 years old. I'm coaching at a small elementary school before I got this job. I'm making $199.50 for the year. Now, there's a lot of young people in this room. If I wrote a book for 18 to 25-year-olds, here's what it would be. Go for the mentor over the money. Because who coaches you sets you up for later. So at 18, I'm studying Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Principle-Centered Leadership, First Things First. And guess what I'm doing? I'm teaching my players those 7 habits. So when the moms and dads brought me their kids, I said, man, I'm going to teach your daughter the 7 habits of highly effective people. Imagine your kid playing for me for 4 years. I'm with her 5.5 hours a day. I'm teaching her the 7 habits of highly effective people, principle-centered leadership, first things first, the power of intention. This is 1999, folks. Good to great. What I was building was little stone-cold killer machines.
Hell yeah.
But here's the number one thing I did. What Covey taught me is this, and this is important for you. People are made up of 4 parts. They're made up of a body. That's physical. That represents skills. They're made up of a mind. That's mental. That represents knowledge. They're made up of a heart. That's emotional. That makes up passion. Irresistible belief for motive or action. What drives your engine? What rows your boat? What gets you excited? They're made up of a spirit, connection to a higher power, belief in something bigger, faith. Could you have knowledge but not have confidence? Could you have skill with no desire? Could you have desire with no skill? Yes. See, you could be incomplete in one of these areas. See, every person I coach, I look at them and I go, okay, he's got the knowledge, but he doesn't have the drive. He's got the drive, but he doesn't have the skills. He's got the skills, but he don't have the confidence. And so I started coaching all 4 parts of my player's nature. What good is knowledge with no confidence? Confidence is the memory of success. Right. It is an internal knowing that you can create or manifest what you see in your mind. What if I told you the more knowledge you have, the more confident you will be? The more skills you have, the more confident you will be. The more effort you put into something, the more confident you will be. Confidence follows knowledge, skill, desire. So the reason you get into coaching, the reason you get into these programs, the reason you come to these conferences is to grow all 4 parts of your nature. How many of you at some point in your life have had a broken heart?
Yes.
Every person in this room. How many of you have had a crushed spirit?
Yes.
How motivated were you when you had a broken heart and a crushed spirit? See, 25 years old, I thought I was going to get married. I met the woman in my dreams. She was actually a high school sweetheart, and she was a wild girl. And my mama said, stay away from her, which only made me want to gravitate toward her. And I thought she was perfect. She came to every basketball game I coached. She had a son that I loved that was 5 years old that I spent time with. I went and bought an engagement ring thinking this is the woman I'm going to marry. Because they said you're just supposed to know. And in between the time I bought the ring and when I proposed, we broke up. And I still remember the day we broke up. I said, man, I got to talk to you. Something's not right in our relationship. And I went to meet her. And on the way, I stopped by and got the engagement ring. And I walked into the restaurant in my hometown and I looked at her. And the first thing she said to me is, Michael, I love you, but I don't love you enough to marry you. I was so weak. I was so insecure. I had placed all of my confidence in the hands of another person. I had placed my destiny in another person's hands. Never place your destiny in somebody else's hands. Can I get an amen on that one? Amen. Never place your destiny in somebody else's hands. Never place all of your confidence in somebody else's hands. No matter how successful I was on the court, I had placed all of my confidence in her hands. And I was so weak at that moment. I said, well, how much do you have to love somebody to marry them? I know people that are married that don't even like each other. Look how pitiful that was. And we broke up that day. And it is a lonely day when you take an engagement ring back. And I cried, and I got to the engagement ring place or the jeweler, and I said, I'd like to return this ring. And they said, Mr. Burt, why are you bringing this ring back? And I thought, I will punch you in the face. Why do you think I'm bringing it back? Right. She didn't want to get married. Fast forward 15 years, I'm speaking back at my elementary school where I went to elementary school. They asked me to come back and speak to all the teachers. Guess who was sitting on the front row? I said, you know what? I'm going to have to use a PowerPoint for this one. And the first slide of that PowerPoint was me sitting on my private jet with my beautiful wife. And I go, boy, life is so good. I can't even believe the life I got. And she just sat on that front row and went, oh my God. You've heard the song, Unanswered Prayers. That was an unanswered prayer. Now I got a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids, and it's the exact wife that God intended for me to have. Okay? All 4 parts of our nature. Well, along this time, I'm building this program. I start calling this competitive intelligence. Competitive intelligence is the know-how of winning. Ryan's got it. He knows how to see something, see an opportunity, and pursue it. So I started calling this competitive intelligence. So parents would say, what are you doing with these kids? Competitive intelligence. And people kept asking me, what are you doing with these kids? How are you winning? How are you doing this with chemistry and trust and discipline and buy-in? And I said, man, I ain't got time to explain it, so I started writing books. That's the night we won a championship, so I started writing all these books because I didn't have time to explain everything I was doing. When I wrote the books, people would ask me to speak. I would go speak, and then they'd say, will you come back and coach us? I said, I can't do it. I'm a high school basketball coach. I'm tied up. I'm busy. And they started paying me more in an hour than I was making in a month. And I started thinking, I can do this. I can do this. Those speaking engagements led me to that. That's me at 10X. We did about $250,000 in the first hour of me speaking at 10X. And we did over $1 million for me speaking on that stage. Now, the reason I show you this is to show you that I was a high school basketball coach making $50,000 a year who had a dream and a vision and a goal and a skill set. And I started saying to myself something I want you to say to yourself. I'm a level 10 person playing at a level 4 level. How many of you feel like you're highly talented yet undercapitalized? You're highly talented, but you're undercapitalized. And you say, why am I undercapitalized? I'm highly talented, but I'm undercapitalized. Because what I started doing in my coaching business was taking the profits from my coaching business and buying real estate. Then I let the real estate appreciate, other people pay it down. That's really how I built my net worth, is I would go over here and build a successful business off my primary skill. And my primary skill is activating the drive deep inside of a person I call prey drive. Prey drive is your instinct to pursue. An animal has a prey drive. It is a drive inside of you, and I'm sitting at 41 years old, and I'm listening to a Vietnam veteran talk about being in the war dog division of the Vietnam War, and he kept talking about a dog that went with him, and the dog's job was to sniff out bombs and booby traps and ambushes. And he kept talking about the dog having a prey drive. And I thought, man, that's interesting. Prey drive, prey drive. What is prey drive? Prey drive is an animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. I'm sitting in that workshop with that Vietnam veteran, and I go, boom, prey drive. I elbow my wife, and I go, humans have a prey drive. It is not their ability to stalk, capture, and kill, but it is their ability to see something with the mind's eye, the imagination, or optically with the eyes, and to pursue it with an intention and a persistence and an activation and an intensity. Everybody with me? Yeah. You see it with the mind's eye and you pursue it. And so I trademarked those two terms, and then I wrote Flip the Switch, which became my first Wall Street Journal bestseller. And I started going, you know what? Man, I'm going to activate the prey drive in people around the world. So this is prey drive. This is what it is in animals, and this is what it is in you. It is your instinct to pursue. Let's call it an inspired impression. You have an inspired impression. That comes, if you're a spiritual person like I am, that can be the Holy Spirit. Some people believe conscience is God's voice to His children. So you have a download, you have an impression, you have something that says, boom, I need to do this. The question is, will you pursue it? So I want you to look at these three words. The prey drive must be activated daily. So I wear a bracelet that says we go to bed tired and we wake up hungry. It all goes to zero at midnight. No matter how much real estate you have, no matter how much passive income you have, I want you to teach your brain, tell your brain that it all goes to zero at midnight. This is the way you avoid complacency, which is a gradual settling to a place of mediocrity. The word mediocre means to go halfway up the mountain. Anybody send their kids off to school today and go, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to school today and gradually settle to a place of mediocrity. One day I go out to put my daughter, I put all three of our kids in the car in the mornings when they go to school. And my 10-year-old daughter looked at me and she said, Daddy, I want you to go pro today because the amateurs are never going to make it. Isn't that good? Daddy, I want you to go pro today because the amateurs are never going to make it. I had never said that directly to my daughter. She had heard me say it to my students. Wow. We have to leave our amateur desires behind and make a decision. The word decision means to cut away. The word decide means to kill something off. I am leaving my amateur desires behind and I'm going pro. Because the pros make the big money. Some people play on Friday night, some people play on Saturday, but the pros play on Sunday. And those are the people who make the most money. So when you're thinking about this prey drive, here's what I want you thinking. This is an exercise I'm going to have you do, and I'm going to get you an exercise to download so you can do it every day. I do an exercise every single day called A to B. I want you to think of yourself right now as that you are at A. A is your current position. A is where you are in life. And I want you to think about all of the things that you do not like about where you are. Maybe you're too involved in this part of the business. Maybe you're doing everything. Maybe this is not working. Okay? And so you're at A. So every single day, I do this exercise. B is your ideal future. B is an ideal world. It's as close to perfect as it could be. For example, my B is very clear. My company's doing this much in revenue. I'm operating in this profit margin. I make exactly this much money every single year. I spend 3 nights a month with just me and my wife reconnecting. We live at our house in Florida X number of the years. We live at our house in Tennessee. My greatness factory is kicking off $500,000 minimum of passive income to me. My retreat properties are kicking off passive income to me. I coach exactly who I want to coach, when we want to coach, exactly how. We only go where we feel celebrated, not tolerated. I spend this much time with my kids every single day, every single week. See, look at how clear I am in what I want. Because when I wrote the book, Flip the Switch, I spent so much time studying the subconscious mind. See, your brain is lazy. It will take the path of least resistance every day. It'll take the same route until you start telling your brain, this is exactly what I want you to do, and your brain works for you. You don't work for it. That's right. So I tell my brain, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing right here. This is how much my company is doing. And I measure everything in days, not weeks, not months. If you want to do $10 million a year, you got to do $833,333.33 per month. You got to do $41,667.67 per day. You got to do roughly $208,333.33 per week. See, when you start taking big goals and breaking them down into small goals, and then your team understands that, then they can work backward from that in high-value activity versus low-value activity. Is everybody with me? So I do the exercise A to B. Let's put it back up there. And I'm going to give you a tool so that you can do it every day. So this is a tool I'm going to give you. Because I'd tell people to do it, and they'd say, now how do you do it, Coach? And so on this QR code right here, it'll give you that tool. You can download the exercise, or if you just want to go to the link, coachburt.com/A2B. Now the reason this is important is because it's going to program your brain in exactly what you want. Every single day. You're going to tell the brain, I don't like this, I do like this. I'm too involved in the sales cycle, I just want to do this. See, everything I don't like, I put at A. It's not that it's bad, it's just, hey man, it could be better. B is a better place to be. B is my ideal picture. B is where I'm trying to get to. And so I'm moving that, and guess what it does? It activates the prey drive, which is your instinct to pursue. See, if you ever become complacent in life, if you ever become stuck, I want you to remember these states of energy. You are dynamic, you're alert, you're curious, you're responsive. You're hungry, you're humble, you're teachable. Or you're static, stuck, bored, in a rut, complacent. Or you're entropic, disintegration. See, we flew out here on a plane. We brought several key people with me who are my clients, who are incredible. And if you get up in that cockpit of that plane and you ask the pilot what's one of the most important instruments up there, you know what he says? The attitude indicator. See, that attitude indicator tells you, are you ascending, are you plateaued, or are you descending? And I said, tell me one day. He said, Coach, you don't ever want it doing this. Everybody see that? See, I look at people's attitude in life, and they're either ascending, they are plateaued, or they are descending. See, Ryan Pineda is ascending. Can we give him another hand? Is he not ascending? See, I'm 47 years old, and I feel like I'm ascending too. Right. Let's go. Because I won't allow myself to get static. That's right. I will not allow myself to get there. So do this exercise every single day. Now, I got 5 minutes and 49 seconds. Can you buckle down with me? Yeah. All right, so here's the deal. A lot of people are going to tell you to find your why. It's a very popular book. It's an incredible concept. I actually don't think you need to find your why to do something big. I actually believe you need to find your skill. The people who have the strongest skills make the most money. If you find your skill and you find the problem you want to solve, and you solve that problem, then the feedback loop you will get will give you purpose. So I tell people, don't find your why, find your skill. Then find the problem. Money changes hands when problems are solved. See, all I figured out at 25 years old when I wrote the first book was that they would pay me 10 times the amount of money over here than over here. It was the exact same skill. I didn't change my skill, I just changed the group I was bringing the skill to. Money changes hands when problems are solved. The bigger the problem, the more money people pay to solve the problem. I'm paying you for your skill. Your skill may be I see something that other people don't see. Your skill may be building a team. Your skill may be in connection. Your skill may be in something. But when I ask people, tell me what your primary skill is, people can't tell me. Right, Dr. Shanks? They can't tell me. I'm like, what is your skill? By the way, these are the guys that flew with me yesterday. Give them a hand too. Thank you. Raise your hand. Come on, raise your hand. Don't be shy. Now, here's the point. When you think about this, finding your skill and finding your problem, how many of you think if you solve big problems, you make more money? Money changes hands when problems are solved. What I figured out is I could take my skill, which was activation of prey driving people. I could take it over here, and they would pay me a lot more money for it. I would build a successful business. I would take the excess profits from that business and go buy real estate. I would combine, don't miss this part, I would combine my love of coaching people and my love of real estate. So I buy properties that I actually coach people at. And I call that intentional congruence. It's where everything feeds everything. Now, my wife has a gift of hospitality. She actually came to one of my workshops when she was 30 years old. She had never read a self-help book. She had never been to a seminar. She was selling cell phones at Verizon. Her manager told her she had some potential. Go see this coach. She came to the workshop and picked up a husband. And if you see her, she's real hot. And anytime she gets mad at me, I'm like, girl, you only paid $50 for the workshop. What kind of husband you expect to get for $50? My wife walks up to me at the end of that. She wasn't my wife, and she said, I need to talk to you right now. I need to speak to you right now. And she was really pretty, so I said, sure, step over here. I am 100% available. Here's what she says to me. I think I have some talent. I think I have some potential. She said, but you've coached me more in 2 hours than anybody's coached me in my whole life. I said, I got 4 questions for you. What do you love doing? She said, man, I love taking care of people. I love hospitality. I said, what are you great at doing? She said, I'm great at cooking. I can cook without recipes. I said, where is there a need in the world that you can fulfill? She said, I think it's got something to do with hospitality and this. And I said, what is your conscience, which is God's voice to his children, telling you to do? She said, I think I'm supposed to be in this industry. I said, then help me understand why you're selling cell phones for Verizon. See, my wife now handles all of the hospitality for all of our events. She wrote her own book called Living with a Monster, which is how you live with a driven person like me. Listen to this. This is the best part. We do 6 couples retreats a year for couples that are married to driven people. And that's my wife's part of the business. Because that is her passion. And that is her talents. And I'm including, see, that's intentional congruence. We're going to buy the real estate. We're going to coach at the events. She's going to be involved in the hospitality. We're going to coach together. We're going to bring the kids. See, now all parts of our life, guys, are feeding all parts of our life. That is intentional congruence, and that is the power of real estate. That is the power of what you can do with real estate, which is change your whole freaking life, because it changed my life, and it'll change my kids' life, and it'll change my wife's life. So let's finish with this. I told you at the very end I was going to bring something to you about the Greatness Factory, and I've got a couple questions for you. And I want to challenge you. How many of you are ready to leave your amateur desires behind and make a decision to go pro? And you are sick and tired of being a level 10 person stuck at a level 4 level. Listen, I've spoken on the biggest stages with the biggest people in the world. And I'm telling you, here's what I found out. Many of you, you're just as good as they are. They may have a better connection than you do. They may have more money than you do. They may be more known than you are. They may be more famous than you are. They may have something that you don't have right now, but the truth is you do have it.
Yeah, that's good.
It is inside of you, but it has to be activated for you to go get it. And your confidence has got to follow. Confidence is the memory of success. So I challenge people at the end. There's two types of regret in life. There is at least or if onlys. If onlys is, man, if only I would have done better. If only I'd have pushed harder. If only I'd have given it a better effort. If only. Then there's at least. At least I gave it a shot. At least I was in the game. At least I pushed as hard as I could. At least I did everything God gave me the ability to do. At least I pushed as hard as I could. So remember when I told moms and dads they were bringing their daughters to the Greatness Factory? 2016, God said to build this. This is the first Greatness Factory in downtown Nashville. It's a $7 million building. It has co-working. It has private offices for people that are already 100% leased out, by the way, before it's even open. Okay? It also has a theater, 109-person state-of-the-art theater for events. And it's even got me sitting right there in my office, folks, ready to rock and roll. So here, as we finish today, let me ask you this, because I want to meet every person here. I'm going to be here throughout the conference. I'm doing something with Brad Lee tomorrow while I'm in town, but I'm going to be here all day today. I want to shake your hand. I want to look you in the eye. I want to meet you out there when you have a break, and I want to say thank you for pursuing your potential, because it's my belief that you are ready to leave your amateur desires behind. Hallelujah. And you are ready to go pro. I'm Coach Micheal Burt. Thank you very much. God bless you. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you.